Well, hi there. So in this video, we're going to just do a toe dip of practice into banks. It's kind of getting some of the basics under control of understanding how do we figure out what the money multiplier is and how will the money supply change when people take certain actions. So let's get started. Okay, so the first part of here just gives us a kind of table and says assume $100 is deposited, fill it out given the RR value provided. So this is the required reserve ratio. This is how much the bank has to keep in required reserves. So we would say they have to keep 1% of the $100, so they have to keep $1. If they have to keep 0.05 or 5%, right, that's all that is, it's just 5%, then they have to keep $5. If they have to keep 10%, they have to keep $10. They have to keep 20. They have to keep 25. So it's really just saying how much of that 100 would they have to keep. Here they have excess of 99, 95, 90, 80, and 75. That's because those two must equal 100. That's how much got deposited. The money multiplier is always just 1 over that RR value. And so 1 over 0.01 is equal to 100. 1 over 0.05 is equal to 20. 1 over 0.1 is equal to 10. 1 over 0.2 is equal to 5. And 1 over 0.25 is equal to 25. Now, or not 25. Oh my goodness. 4. Duh. I can't believe that one was silly. All right. So now, maximum change in the money supply. So there are two ways that we can approach this last portion, right? Maximum change in the money supply. You can take option 1, which is the $100 times the money multiplier, and then subtract out the original because the original was already in the money supply. Or you can figure out what's the first loan that they make, right? First loan, and then multiply that by the money multiplier. And that's going to be our change in the money supply as well. So they're both going to be the first deposit. So I'm going to write both of these times the money multiplier minus the first deposit. Right? So that's the first method. First deposit times the money multiplier minus that original deposit. Or you can do the first loan that they make times the money multiplier. That's because the first loan they make, the excess reserves, is how much new money is getting created. So 99 times 100 is 9,900. We would also get that same answer if we did 100 times 100, which is 10,000. Subtracting the 100 gives us 9,900. 95 times 20 is 1,900. Or we could have done 20 times 100, which is 2,000, minus the $100 gives us 1,900. 90 times 10 is 900. Or we could have done 10 times the 100, subtracting 100 gives us 900. 80 times 5 is 400, and 75 times 4 is 300. Number 2, the Bank of Clayton has excess reserves of $800. Reserve ratio is 20%. If Maria deposits, blah, 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 blah. How much more can the bank lend out? So there's several things that's going on in this question. At the beginning of the problem, they have 800. Right? So they have 800 in excess reserves. Maria deposits 1,000 in cash, and the bank lends 600. So how much of this 1,000 then can they lend out? Well, they can lend out 20% of 1,000, which is 800. So now they could lend out 1,600. Right? So 800, 1,600, and then they lend 600 to Shiv. So minus 600. So a total of $1,000. So it's really just noticing that we have this, and then we have 800 from that, and then we got lending to Shiv. So number 3, if the required reserve ratio is 15%, she deposits 300. How much do the excess change by? That's 85%. 15% of 300 is 45. So we are left with 255, and that's really just a screwed up dollar sign, $255. If a bank has 75 of excess that if lent could add 300 to the money supply, what's the required reserve ratio? Well, what turns 75 into 300, right? What must be that money multiplier? And we know that that money multiplier must be 4, and so therefore we'll say the required reserve ratio equals 0.25. Because we know that the money multiplier is equal to 1 over the required reserve ratio. Right? It's the reciprocal. Assume the required reserve ratio is 10%. The banks hold no excess reserves, and all funds are redeposited. If a new deposit of $100 is made, how much of the money supply change as a result of that deposit only? No change, already in the money supply. Already money. But after all the bank lending and redeposits happen, how much could change? Well, they could lend, let's just do it this way, first loan of, what is that, $90 times the money multiplier, and the money multiplier is 1 over 0.1, so that's 10. And so 90 times 10 is $900. For a number C, or letter C, fractional reserve is 15 instead of 10. The amount of deposit expansion would have been less. That's because they could lend less. And if banks had not loaned out all their excess reserves, the amount of deposit expansion also would have been less. And if loans had not been redeposited, in other words, people hold cash, if people hold cash, we would also expect the deposit expansion to be less as a result. So hopefully this helped you with some basics around practicing with required reserve ratio and money multiplier. I'll see you next time.